So we were tasked with coming up with a definition for what diversity and inclusion means at Ascension St. Vincent. And in lieu of a definition, a hardcore definition, we came up with a framework. And it's really a framework and the hallmark, the appreciation, belongingness, inclusivity, diversity, and equity is really what we want every associate to feel on their journey with us.
You know, the Abide framework is a great tool, and it really has been a good footprint and a teaching tool for leaders like myself to ensure that we don't have biases that we're not aware of. And it gets us back again, reminds us of who we are and our core values and our mission statement. And so for myself and our executive team and all of our leaders, it's a great framework, and it's great stories, and it's a good reminder to kind of self-check and ensure that we're leading in the most appropriate manner.
You know, our diversity here at Ascension St. Vincent doesn't compete in the mission, it really strengthens it. I think faith is truly additive.
And so the Abide work is really looking at the acceptance and belongingness and inclusivity within all different parts of our work, not just cultural variations or faith traditions, but just every kind of diversity.
I see that every single day in our mission and how we live that out and provide care to everyone, no matter who they are. In addition, while I focused or answered about people who are a little bit marginal or marginalized, the truth of the matter is, no matter how much money or assets you have, if you're sick with a bad diagnosis, you're poor and vulnerable, and that truly is our mission.
I love about the Abide framework that it puts flesh on something that I think has been part of the mission and values of this place for a long time. And I know the Daughters of Charity, who were the women religious who founded St. Vincent's in the late 1800s, they said that their job was to keep healthcare human, and that they would have special attention to the sick poor, so people who are poor and vulnerable and who are ill. So that really connects well to me with this sense of belongingness. So that's kind of like common humanity, that we create a space where people feel like they can belong, and out of our Catholic tradition, honoring the dignity and value of each person. So that connects well. And then this kind of special attention to the poor and vulnerable feels like it's about this commitment to diversity and inclusion, right? So who are the people in our community who may not have always felt welcomed?
One thing that's become even more apparent to me, I would say, over the last year is growing up with a diverse background. I always felt like I had some sort of an awareness to people's diversity. But it's not just having that awareness, it's actually having it in the forefront of your mind, forefront of your thoughts, and having it be more active in terms of trying to understand different cultural beliefs, different societal things. And I think that's the importance of having Abide, because it's not just the thought of, well, if I don't see color, because it's not a matter of not seeing color. People want you to see color. They want you to embrace their differences. And I think that's important to kind of educate the community as a whole on.
I'm a Catholic chaplain, rooted in this sense of all people made in the image and likeness of God. And yet, sometimes in my experience, there was not enough attention taken to what that really means in terms of diversity and how we welcome people of different faiths, or let's say, richness of races and lifestyles and perspectives. And I think Abide is really beginning to take us forward to live that out.
Everybody wants and needs to feel accepted and valued. And everybody needs to feel like they have a voice, and that their voice matters, no matter what race, no matter what gender, no matter what social economic stance or sexual preference. They need to know that they matter. So I believe, and this is affirmed by St. Vincent's values and mission, that we are all born in the image of God, and we matter to God. And all of us deserve respect and dignity.
So I would say the pandemic has done lots of things for medicine and how people in society view those of us in the medical professions. You know, first and foremost, I think most of us went into these fields to help people. And while this has been a hard time, it truly has been aligned with our own individual missions. You know, we are helping people. And albeit it's been hard with lots of hours and, you know, often putting yourselves or your family's lives at risk, it's really why we went into medicine to begin with. I think, likewise, at the beginning of the pandemic, it was wonderful to see the support that we had from the communities, you know, supporting us as healthcare heroes.
To be honest, I think that the greatest way to honor those who have been heroes, and not just in healthcare, but in all of our community and society, is by doing the things that we can do to help end the pandemic and try to return to life as we know it. So enforcing mask wearing, I have mine off for the camera, but I'm distanced and vaccinated.
I would say, though, that as the pandemic continued, it started to get harder and harder. It was just emotionally tiring and burdensome, and frankly, for our frontline caregivers, especially our nurses, who are acting as both a nurse and a surrogate family member because of visitation issues, it was really hard to, you know, see people suffer and, you know, to be in the middle of all that.
So, you know, as a physician taking care of patients during the COVID pandemic, in the last several months, I had a patient who was not going to be able to survive, but she didn't want to die, but her body was going to be unable to tolerate the virus. And this was during a time where we couldn't have visitors in the hospital, which as a physician, you know, a lot of our training is in how to talk to patients, how to care for patients, how to treat them and diagnose them and all these things. But there's also this human side, that this is someone's loved one. This is their mother, this is their sister, or their aunt, whatever it is. And you also have to, while you're thinking about your scientific and technical knowledge, you also have to think about the fact that they're human and you're a human, and we all have to deal with everybody's emotion. For us in that moment to know that I couldn't save that patient, even though she didn't want to die, was a really difficult thing. So transitioning and removing the sort of aggressive, more aggressive, she wasn't on a ventilator, she did not want to go on a ventilator, but removing some of the more aggressive treatments that we have for providing high flow oxygen and transitioning to comfort care was a really emotional time. Her family wasn't able to be here for that. And so my resident physician and I spent that last hour of her life with her, just as I don't even know, maybe as I think so many times I felt like I wasn't just the doctor, I was also the family. In those moments, I was the patient's family too. And so that was an intern, so he was in his first year of training, just out of medical school, and he and I just both felt compelled to just spend that last hour. So we just sat in her room with her while there were being, you know, treatments to provide comfort to her, as she literally took those last breaths and just held her hand and talked about what we knew of her and how we felt like she was a really special person in the world. And I wish that we had the opportunity to do that with all of our patients, and I think we try to. You know, I had more patients pass away during my last 1 week on the COVID team than I've had die in probably the last decade.
First of all, I would want to say that I really appreciate being a part of this, and I truly appreciate the Center for Interfaith Cooperation for honoring Ascension St. Vincent with this great honor.